Today we'll be talking about how to become a private lender for real estate. Are you ready to roll? So before we start, I'd like to let you know that I am not a licensed attorney, I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and it's up to you to make sure that you hire professional help to make sure that these strategies are right for you. So I'm going to tell you about my experiences and my opinions, but that's all they really are, is my experiences and my opinions. And I've been doing these things for better or for worse for a long time, but please always run these kind of things past your financial advisors and your licensed attorneys to make sure that these things work for you and that they also work the way that I'm talking to you about in your state, under your state guidelines and regulations. So what we're going to talk about next is how you take control of your financial future. Instead of letting the yahoos up in Wall Street, who probably don't even know your name, make all these investment decisions for you, let's talk about a strategy that will help you to make your own financial decisions and you decide what kind of risk you want to take in a game that you can actually understand the rules. The basic premise is that you're going to make a decision on whether or not to loan your hard-earned money out to someone who wants to buy a property. And in return for doing that, you're going to receive an interest rate on your money while it's out. And you're going to receive a first lien position on that property for security. In case they don't pay you back as agreed, you're going to have a first lien that allows you to become the owner of that collateral that you're loaning money on. Let's use a little hypothetical case with some real numbers. Let's say someone comes to you and they want to buy a $200,000 house and they need a $125,000 loan and they're willing to give you a first lien position on that house through a title company if you will loan them that $125,000. So if you do the math, you're giving 62% loan or 62.5% loan. It's actually called the LTV. The loan to value is 62.5%, which is a pretty strong position as a lender. This is what your position looks like. You're either going to get paid by this borrower as agreed, which means they're going to make you payments however you agreed, at whatever interest rate you agree. They're going to do whatever, or you're going to get a $200,000 house. Would you mind having a $200,000 house if you had to let go of the $125,000 money in the loan? I think not. I think it's pretty easy for you to rationalize that if you get the $200,000 house in your possession, which you can do because you have a first lien, it'll be reasonably easy to go ahead and get back your $125,000. Matter of fact, it might be really easy to get back that $125,000. How would you get that money back? Well, first of all, you could just go down to your local real estate investment club, hold up the deed to that $200,000 house and say, I want to talk to everybody in the room for 30 seconds. I have a $200,000 house. I have a $125,000 that's owed to me. So the first person that brings me $125,000, I'm going to sign the deed to this house. And there'll be a fist fight out in the hall because everybody's going to want to do that. But you might want to be a little more aggressive than that, because if you have a $200,000 house, why don't you just sell it for $200,000 and make a $75,000 profit, or anywhere in between? So I think it's a reasonable position to be in. There's just some things you got to know before you start trying to do these kind of deals. So what are the best properties to loan on? The best properties are the properties that you understand. The best properties are the ones that are worth way more than the loan amount. The best properties are easy to appraise. It's easy to get a handle on what they're worth. Then, beyond that, commercial loans are a lot better than consumer loans. So what's the difference in a commercial loan and a consumer loan? Well, it really has nothing to do with whether the property is classified commercial or not. That's nothing to do with it. The difference between a commercial loan and a consumer loan is, in a commercial loan, the borrower does not live in the house and the house is not their homestead. we don't want to loan on people's homesteads, because if you're loaning on a homestead, then that's considered a consumer loan, and consumer loans have much more regulation and are much more difficult to foreclose on, especially if the borrower doesn't want to go because it's their home and there's different rules and regulations about that. So you only want to loan, in my humble opinion, you only want to loan money on properties that are not someone's homestead. And loans that fall in that category are called commercial loans versus consumer loans. One thing you'll absolutely want to do is, when you decide that you want to make a loan on a property, you will want to make sure that you go through a title company and you get title insurance that will ensure that you have a perfected first lien. And the reason why that first lien is so important is because that's your security in case you don't get paid. And if you don't have a perfected first lien, or you're not really the first lien holder because there were other title issues, then you could be in trouble and your security could be no good. So go through a title company, pay for the title insurance, get them to insure your loan and guarantee you that you're in a first lien position, or they'll pay for the damages. So when we talk about which properties are easiest to understand, it's probably single-family residences. They're the easiest to get a handle on. They're usually in the midst of a whole clump of single-family houses, and we can get comps very easy. As opposed to maybe you can get, someone wants to borrow money on a commercial property where they sorted grain. I mean, how much do you know about what that equipment's worth on that land, and any environmental hazards and all that different kind of stuff? So, commercial properties have different issues. They may have environmental issues. They may have all kinds of different problems. It's a whole nother science. I think residential properties are probably the simplest. They're certainly simplest to come to value on most of the time. You know, it dawns on me as I jump into this subject that there's more than 10 minutes can hold here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a part 2 on this subject, and I'm going to talk to you about what kind of returns can you expect as a private lender, what you're looking for, and then I'll tell you the most passive way in the world you can lend money. By the way, if you're not subscribed already, you can subscribe now, and the next video you're going to get will be part 2.